Chapter 81. 81, Crimson, Red Deity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 81. Crimson, Red Deity. Translator. Nyo I.bo Studio Editor. Nyo I.bo Studio. In the Imperial Palace of Grand Xia, a voice echoed, Junior Brother Lu, this guy is a little hard to handle. In the empty courtyard, a 10-meter tall Crimson Red Deity was constantly attacking Lu Yuan and the other two. Since Mu Qiqi was the strongest among the three, she naturally became the target of the Crimson Red Deity's attacks. Most of the attacks fell on her. Mu Qiqi was indeed worthy of being ranked in the top 10 of the mortal rank. Her current cultivation had reached level 9 of the foundation establishment stage, and it was in both the water and wood spiritual roots. Mu Qiqi also had a luxurious magic item that made people speechless. Saying that she was invincible among those at the core formation stage and lower was not just an exaggeration. If not for the fact that the Crimson Red Deity in front of Mu Qiqi had already reached the cultivation level of a pseudo-core stage, Mu Qiqi alone was enough to deal with it. Boom! The Crimson Red Deity slapped down, and Mu Qiqi quickly turned around, dodging the terrifying attack. After a loud bang, a huge handprint appeared in front of Lu Yuan and the others. It could be seen that the power of the slap was terrifying. Mu Qiqi didn't just dodge, but she also counterattacked with the Qingyun giant sword technique. Under Mu Qiqi's control, 4 flying swords turned into 4 giant swords and flew toward the Crimson Red Deity. When the Crimson Red Deity saw that, it raised its arms to protect its head. Ding, ding, ding. A large number of sparks and ear-piercing sounds of metal striking appeared in an instant. Mu Qiqi looked at the Crimson Red Deity with a serious expression. Her powerful Qingyun giant sword technique was actually unable to cause any effective damage to the Crimson Red Deity. Only a few shallow wounds were left on its arm. Moreover, those wounds healed in a very short period of time, which surprised Mu Qiqi. Senior Sister Mu, be careful. Just as Mu Qiqi was stunned, the Crimson Red Deity in front of her suddenly withdrew its arm. Immediately after, a shocking blood-red shockwave shot out from its mouth, aimed at Mu Qiqi. At this moment, Mu Qiqi was unable to dodge in a short period of time due to her lack of strength. However, just as the blood energy was about to hit Mu Qiqi, a sand and stone wall appeared before her. Not only that, but the golden sand wall was also covered with a special green spiritual energy. In the next second, the energy attack of the Crimson Red Deity hit the sand wall. Boom! The core formation realm Crimson Red Deity's attack collided with the sudden appearance of the sand wall, causing a shocking explosion. A moment later, the blood energy that had been weakened by 90% rushed toward Mu Qiqi, who was behind the wall. However, Mu Qiqi was already prepared. She had already taken out a defensive magic item. Boom! The remaining blood energy hit Mu Qiqi's magical bell and dissipated completely. It didn't cause any harm to Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi also took the opportunity to return to Lu Yuan and Bai Dufei's side. The Crimson Red Deity on the other side seemed to have exhausted too much spiritual energy, causing it to not choose to pursue them for a short period of time. The originally intense battlefield had a rare moment for breathers. Thank you, Junior Brother Lu. It's fine. Senior Sister, have you thought of a way to deal with the deity? Hearing Lu Yuan's question, Mu Qiqi nodded. Junior Brother Lu, Senior Brother Bai, after the short exchange just now, I've roughly figured out its characteristics. I've long heard about the Crimson Red Deity of the Huanqi sect. This is a special divine ability that requires the cooperation of many Huanqi sect cultivators. Exerting astonishing power, it can only be performed by sacrificing their life and blood. This is because the essence of the Crimson Red Deity is the blood qi of a group of blood warrior monks. It's equivalent to us fighting 30 blood warrior monks. She continued, although the Crimson Red Deity's movements are slow, its defensive power and strength are incredibly astonishing. Ordinary magic instruments and divine powers are unable to cause any effective damage to it. Junior brother Lu, senior brother Bai, if you can buy me some time, I'm confident that I can finish the deity in one blow. By some time, Lu Yuan looked at the 10-meter tall crimson-red deity in the distance. After pondering for a moment, he said, in that case, leave the rest to me and senior brother Bai. Bai Dafei's eyes widened. Wait a minute. I didn't even say anything. Junior brother Lu, why did you decide for me? Do I, Bai Dafei, have no right to speak? However, the atmosphere had already reached this point, and Bai Dafei had no reason to reject him. Junior brother Lu is right, Bai Dafei said with a bitter face. Senior sister, don't worry. We will buy you enough time. All right. Then I'll have to trouble the two of you. Although Mu Xuanqi had a pampered personality, she was still very decisive in battle. Once a decision was made, there would be no hesitation. Mu Qiqi pointed her sword and a small golden flying sword flew out from her storage pouch. In the process of Mu Qiqi controlling the flying sword, Mu Qiqi's forehead began to sweat profusely. It was obvious that controlling the flying sword was not easy for her. After Lu Yuan saw the golden flying sword, he understood why Mu Qiqi had the confidence to kill the pseudo-core stage crimson-red deity in one strike. The golden flying sword was a low-grade magic item. It was something only core formation stage cultivators could have. Needless to say, it must have been given to her by Mu Qiqi's sect leader. Coiling Snake Golden Light Sword. Quality: low-grade magic item function. A special flying sword made from the fangs of the Demon King, Golden Coiled Snake. Its attack has extremely strong penetrating power. Just as Mu Qiqi started to control the coiling snake golden light sword, Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei had already arrived in front of the crimson-red deity. Junior brother Lu, what should we do next? Looking at the huge crimson-red deity, Bai Dafei's expression was very nervous. As a mere pill refiner, what could he do to stall a pseudo-core stage crimson-red deity when even Mu Qiqi, who was level 9 of the Foundation Establishment stage, almost lost? However, what surprised Bai Dafei was that Lu Yuan's expression was very calm at this moment. Senior brother Bai, you will harass it from afar. I will restrain this fellow. We must not let it affect senior sister Mu. Bai Dafei heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Lu Yuan volunteer to take on the responsibility of delaying the crimson-red deity. At this moment, Lu Yuan's figure in his eyes instantly became tall and big. At the end of the day, Lu Yuan was an admirable junior who did not shy away from challenges. Bai Dafei thought, Junior brother Lu, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you before. How are you a cultivator who is afraid of death? You are simply a role model for our generation of cultivators. From now on, if anyone dares to talk bad about you again, I will be the first to question them. Just as Bai Dafei was deeply moved, Lu Yuan's heart was actually not as filled with valiance as Lu Yuan thought. Instead, he was very calm. Was the crimson-red deity strong? Yes. However, could it pose a threat to Lu Yuan? It couldn't. After a simple observation, Lu Yuan discovered a fatal weakness of the crimson-red deity. That was the speed of the fellow. It was too slow. In Lu Yuan's eyes, every attack of the crimson-red deity was like a movie in slow motion. Lu Yuan had the special divine ability, Formless Squall, the second advancement skill, Wind. Riding Sword Control Technique, the Wind-type Cultivation Technique, Breeze Mystical Scripture, and the Wind-type Foundation Establishment through the Way of the Heavens Spiritual Route. In terms of speed, Lu Yuan was almost completely superior to the crimson-red deity. Even in terms of defense, Lu Yuan felt that he was not weak. The divine power he had used to protect Mu Qiqi was a special divine ability called Gilded Tortoiseshell Wall, a combination of the gilded sand and tortoiseshell spiritual energy. However, the gilded tortoiseshell wall that he had displayed at that time only had about 5 layers of defense. After all, compared to protecting others, Lu Yuan was more concerned about his own safety. That could be seen from the gilded sand and the black tortoise spiritual energy that had been surrounding Lu Yuan. Delaying the crimson-red deity was really not a difficult thing for Lu Yuan, but Bai Dafei still didn't understand how stable Lu Yuan was. If Lu Yuan wasn't completely confident, why would he take the initiative to come out? Senior brother Bai, please look after senior sister Mu, said Lu Yuan. All right, replied Bai Dafei. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yuan instantly turned into an afterimage and rushed toward the crimson-red deity. Looking at Lu Yuan who was charging at itself, the crimson-red deity slowly raised its hand after adjusting its aura. Chapter 82. 82, Thinking Ahead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 82. Thinking Ahead. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio as a special existence that had gathered 30 blood warrior monks, the crimson-red deity's strength was undoubted. As the crimson-red deity raised its hand, a large amount of blood chi power began to appear around it and gather in its palm. Not long after, a terrifying blood bead appeared in the hand of the crimson-red deity. It looked like a bead condensed from holy blood. Then, the crimson-red deity aimed the blood bead in Lu Yuan's direction and suddenly launched an attack. The blood bead tore through the sky and crushed toward Lu Yuan with a violent sound. However, just as the blood bead was about to hit Lu Yuan instantly turned into an afterimage and suddenly disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already on top of the crimson-red deity. The crimson-red deity did not expect such an astonishing speed. Even Mu Qiqi and Bai Dafei, who were at the back, did not expect this. Bai Dafei, who was originally prepared to attack, was stunned on the spot because he was shocked by Lu Yuan's speed. He thought, oh my god. Junior brother Lu, your speed is a little too fast. Under Bai Dafei's shocked gaze, Lu Yuan began to harass the crimson-red deity with his astonishing speed. The crimson-red deity did not have any good counterattack. Its clumsy movement speed was its fatal weakness, and Lu Yuan had astonishing speed. The scene immediately became interesting. The crimson-red deity tried to slap Lu Yuan down from the sky many times. However, Lu Yuan seemed to have made up his mind to only harass and not attack. As a result, the crimson-red deity's attacks could not pose any effective threat to Lu Yuan at all. Lu Yuan easily dodged every attack. Lu Yuan wanted to make the crimson-red deity focus on him. Occasionally, he would even take the initiative to slash the crimson-red deity with his flying sword. However, it was unknown whether the crimson-red deity's defensive power was too shocking or Lu Yuan's attack was too perfunctory. As a result, the so-called flying sword attack could not cause any effective damage to the crimson-red deity at all. However, it had to be said that Lu Yuan's kiting tactic had indeed caused the crimson-red deity's anger to reach its peak. The deity couldn't hit him, and the attack didn't hurt. To the deity, the Qingyun sect cultivator was really annoying. On the other hand, Bai Dafei saw Lu Yuan perfectly holding back the crimson-red deity by himself. After hesitating for a moment, he finally gave up on the idea of attacking the crimson-red deity. For a moment, Bai Dafei felt like he was out of place among the three of them. In terms of seniority, he was Lu Yuan and Mu Qiqi's senior brother. Logically speaking, he should take on the responsibility of taking the initiative to kill the devil. But in fact, his cultivation was not as high as Mu Qiqi's and his divine abilities didn't seem to be as powerful as Lu Yuan's. Rather than slaying devils, Bai Dafei was just standing there and watching the show. For a moment, Bai Dafei even began to doubt his life, thinking, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? Didn't we agree that junior brother Lu and I would restrain this crimson-red deity together? But why does the situation look like If I go up, I might cause trouble instead. Maybe, probably. As long as I stand where I am and do nothing, everything will be over. That wasn't Baidafei's misconception. It was the truth. If he went up now, he might really be of no help. Lu Yuan attracted all of the crimson-red deity's attention. Behind him, Mu Chichi had almost finished refining the low-grade magic item, the coiling snake golden light sword. As for Baidafei, half an hour ago, he stood there without moving. Half an hour later, he was still standing there without moving. It wasn't that Baidafei didn't want to move, but that he couldn't. Because if he went up, not only would he not be able to help Lu Yuan, but he might also distract Lu Yuan and force Lu Yuan to exert more strength. Although Lu Yuan and the crimson-red deity appeared evenly matched, in reality, Lu Yuan had only used about 50% of his strength. So far, Lu Yuan was only using the wind-riding sword control technique and his foundation establishment through the way of the heavens wind spiritual route to restrain the crimson-red deity. Perhaps some people would think that Lu Yuan was a little arrogant. However, Lu Yuan could only say such people lacked foresight. A steady person must not only look at the present but also at the future. Take one step, look 10 steps ahead, and think 100 steps ahead. Although the Chinda rebellion case had not ended yet, Lu Yuan had already begun to lay the foundation for the aftermath. If Lu Yuan's performance in the battle was too outstanding, it would definitely not be a good thing for him. It would mean that he was very likely to be noticed by the higher-ups of the sect and thus be forced to end his lazy life ahead of time. Therefore, Lu Yuan had never considered how to resolve this matter as soon as possible. Instead, he focused on thinking of a way to reduce his presence in the incident. As for whether acting like that would cause Chinda to escape, Lu Yuan felt that it was impossible. This was because Lu Yuan had not arranged for only Baidafei and Mu Chichi to join in the mission. If Lu Yuan was not completely confident in solving the case, he would not have personally come to the Great Xia Palace. As for Lu Yuan's other arrangements, even Mu Chichi and Baidafei weren't very clear about it. As Lu Yuan held back the crimson-red deity and Baidafei was in a stalemate for some time, Mu Chichi finally finished the preparation of the coiling snake golden light sword. "Junior brother Lu, get out of the way." Hearing the words behind him, Lu Yuan turned into a gust of wind and instantly shook off the crimson-red deity. Almost at the same time as Lu Yuan left, a huge golden flying sword appeared above the crimson-red deity's head. The crimson-red deity could feel the terrifying fluctuations coming from the flying sword, immediately revealing a terrified expression. Roar! In the face of danger, the crimson-red deity began to absorb the vitality of the 30 blood warrior monks crazily. The blood warrior monks who had formed the array below it began to spit out blood. Then, the blood-colored swastika on the crimson-red deity's chest began to emit intense light. The crimson-red deity raised its palm and struck at the coiling snake golden light sword above its head. Before long, the huge golden sword of light collided with the crimson-red deity's palm. Boom! A huge explosion instantly swept through the entire scene. The shockingly powerful coiling snake golden light sword was actually in a stalemate with the crimson-red deity for a short period of time. Mu Chichi controlled the coiling snake golden light sword, and a large amount of sweat appeared on her face. If Mu Chichi was like this, then the crimson-red deity would naturally be in a bad situation. The 30 blood warrior monks that formed the crimson-red deity all began to bleed from their 7 orifices, and their vitality was rapidly decreasing. Crash! There was a sound like glass shattering. Cracks began to appear on the crimson-red deity's palm. The crack started from its palm and spread all the way to its entire arm. Chapter 83. 83, Invincible. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 83. Invincible. Translator. Nyo Ida Bo Studio Editor. Nyo Iwo Studio Lu Yuan looked at the crimson-red deity that could actually resist a low-grade magic item for a short period of time, and he was very shocked. After all, the person controlling this low-grade magic item, the coiling snake golden light sword, was Mu Chichi, who was level 9 of the Foundation establishment stage. It was amazing that 30 blood warrior monks that were refined using a special technique could actually fight against Mu Chichi for a short time. Lu Yuan couldn't imagine how deep the foundations of the 3 devilish sects were. But thinking about it, Lu Yuan thought 3 devilish sects could not compete with the 5 righteous sections. After all, they lost in numbers. As Lu Yuan's thoughts were flying, the crimson-red deity in the distance seemed to have reached its limit. Out of the 30 blood warrior monks, 10 of them exploded instantly, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. The remaining 20 blood warrior monks were not in a better state either. Their bodies were covered in open wounds, and they looked like they would explode at any moment. But at this moment, an accident happened. The crimson-red deity's right arm suddenly exploded. Then, a large amount of sticky blood swarmed onto Mu Chichi's coiling snake golden light sword. The blood that suddenly attacked was quickly burned by the golden light, emitting an ear-piercing sound. However, because there was too much blood, it eventually fell on the coiling snake golden light sword. As a result, the coiling snake golden light sword, which was originally emitting a dazzling golden light, instantly dimmed. Mu Chichi, who was mentally connected to the coiling snake golden light sword, turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at the last moment, Mu Chichi also showed great tenacity. She endured the pain in her head and pressed her fingers down. The shaking coiling snake golden light sword actually accelerated its descent once more. The crimson-red deity, who had lost an arm, could no longer resist the flying sword. Splash! Perhaps it was because the blood of the crimson-red deity had a significant force. As a result, the coiling snake golden light sword did not land on the crimson-red deity's head in the end. Instead, it landed on its shoulder. However, the coiling snake golden light sword that was imbued with the Qingyun giant sword technique still cut through a small part of the crimson-red deity's body. The wound started from the crimson-red deity's right shoulder and spread all the way to its abdomen. However, the vitality and blood chi of the deity that was summoned after sacrificing 30 blood warrior monks was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Even after suffering such serious injuries, the crimson-red deity was still not completely dead. It even retained a certain amount of combat power. However, Mu Chichi no longer had the ability to control the coiling snake golden light sword. Then, the crimson-red deity used its own heart blood to pollute Mu Chichi's mind energy infused in the coiling snake golden light sword. Although Mu Chichi didn't receive any direct attacks, her mind was hurt. After enduring for a moment, Mu Chichi, who had suffered a serious mental injury, finally fainted. In contrast, the crimson-red deity with a terrifying physical body had completely lost an arm and half of its body had been split open on the spot. On its shoulder was the coiling snake golden light sword that had been debuffed of the Qingyun giant sword technique. But even so, the crimson-red deity still did not completely lose its combat power and was even drawing power from the remaining blood chi and vitality of the 30 blood warrior monks. The crimson-red deity stood up slowly, and Lu Yuan frowned as he watched carefully. Bai Dafei, who was at the side, was also a little lost. After all, he didn't expect that Mu Chichi couldn't kill the monster even after using her low-grade magic item. Junior brother Lu, why don't we take senior sister Mu and run? Seeing that the situation wasn't right, before Lu Yuan could say anything about running away, Bai Dafei spoke first. But at this moment, Lu Yuan actually rejected the suggestion. Senior brother Bai, it's no longer a matter of whether we run or not. It's where we run, ah. Bai Dafei was stunned. Then, he looked around. An enormous blood-colored array enveloped the entire capital of Great Xiao. Such a huge array could not be prepared in a day. It must have been the result of years of arrangement. Judging from the strength of the array, it seemed to be able to seal off the entry and exit of cultivators below the core formation stage. Bai Dafei couldn't figure out where this puny emperor of Great Xia, Chenda, had gotten so many trump cards. How could he be an ordinary mortal emperor with such methods? Even some of the core formation stage elders in the sect might not be as good as him. Although he knew that he couldn't escape, Bai Dafei thought of something and said hesitantly, "Junior brother Lu, although this fellow's strength is amazing and its physique is outstanding, its movements are very slow. If the two of us were to take it around the city, it shouldn't be a problem for us to drag it out until the rest of the sect comes to our aid." Bai Dafei had thought that the steady Lu Yuan would agree to his decision. However, Lu Yuan shook his head again. "Senior brother Bai, this fellow must be dealt with here. We must not let him out." "Why do you say that?" "Senior brother Bai, look behind you." Bai Dafei turned around and found that a large amount of fire had appeared outside the palace. And amidst the flames, there was the sound of intense battle. "Junior brother Lu, what is happening outside?" "Senior brother Bai, although I've only been in the imperial capital for a short 3 years, I'm still the director of the Devil Slayers division in the imperial capital. Before I came to the palace, I had already expected such a situation to occur. Therefore, I've warned everyone in the department in advance that as long as I don't send back my order by a certain time, all the devil-slaying practitioners will take complete control of the imperial capital," said Lu Yuan. Bai Dafei answered, "Junior brother, I'm not worried about my own safety, but I'm afraid that Chinda will be desperate and use the citizens of the city as a bargaining chip to threaten us. As for the scene outside the palace, I think it's exactly what we expected. There must be an intense battle happening outside the palace." Lu Yuan spoke. "If the two of us are unable to deal with this crimson-red deity, we might end up letting it run amok. Then the hundreds of thousands of people in the entire imperial capital will definitely suffer this calamity." Even so, Bai Dafei still said anxiously, "But junior brother Lu, this monster is not something the two of us can deal with at all." Lu Yuan shook his head. "It's a mess. Senior sister Mu's golden light flying sword actually caused great damage to this guy. The 10 blood warrior monks who exploded and died are undoubtedly the best proof. Although this guy is still powerful, he is at most at level 9 of the foundation establishment stage, or even lower." At this point, Lu Yuan suddenly changed the topic, "Senior brother Bai, can you promise me something?" Bai Dafei was stunned and asked, "What is it?" "No matter what you see or hear later, please pretend that you didn't see anything. That's all." "All right." After receiving Bai Dafei's affirmative reply, Lu Yuan took the initiative to walk toward the crimson-red deity under Bai Dafei's stunned gaze. Bai Dafei was shocked by the imposing manner of the warrior, thinking, "Junior brother Lu, you only have 10 spiritual stones a month. What are you playing at?" What Bai Dafei didn't know was that Lu Yuan wasn't risking his life at this moment. On the contrary, while ensuring his absolute safety, he was fighting for greater benefits in this incident. The crimson-red deity was a monster that had fused the flesh and soul of 30 innate stage martial artists. To Lu Yuan, who had mastered the divine soul pill refinement technique, it was undoubtedly the best tonic for him. If Lu Yuan could refine the deity's divine soul, it would result in an unimaginable increase in his cultivation. At this moment, the crimson-red deity was a size smaller than before, and there was a coiling snake golden light sword in its shoulder. However, the aura on the deity's body was still very powerful, and its blood essence was shocking. Moreover, the deity's ferocious appearance showed that it still had extremely powerful combat strength. Lu Yuan said calmly as he walked, "If you were still in the core formation stage, I wouldn't have attacked you no matter what. After all, I don't have 100% confidence in defeating you at that time. But for the you who has fallen to the foundation establishment stage, it's different." Lu Yuan stopped 20 meters away from the crimson-red deity. The robe on his body fluttered even though there was no wind. Immediately after, the ground around Lu Yuan seemed to have been cut by a sharp blade, and a large number of smooth cracks instantly appeared. Divine ability. Formless squall. When Bai Dafei saw that, his pupils constricted. Because at this moment, he felt a terrifying aura that he had never felt before from Lu Yuan. Bai Dafei had only felt such a feeling from some of the powerful sword cultivator elders in the inner sect. He thought, junior brother Lu, didn't he only learn life saving skills? What is with this fierce aura? Lu Yuan raised his hand, and the Qingyun sword at his waist instantly flew out and landed on his right hand. At the same time, a large number of green flames emitted from Lu Yuan's body infused into a gale. Wood caused fire, and the wind increased the fire. Endless vitality was activated. Fusing the green flame with wood and fire attributes and the ultimate wind-type formless squall ability activated the fearsome divine ability, formless green flame. The crimson-red deity looked at Lu Yuan at this moment, and its face no longer had the arrogance from before. What replaced it was intense shock and fear. Lu Yuan had been hiding his strength all this time. Lu Yuan held the Qingyun sword in one hand and looked at the crimson-red deity in front of him with a calm expression. I have cultivated for more than 20 years. The only thing I want is longevity. However, the path of cultivation is full of obstacles. There are always all kinds of dangers along the way. The divine powers that I have refined are mostly for self-protection and not for competition. But nothing is absolute. On the path of cultivation, there will always be times when you have to fight with others. This self-protection method of mine. In special circumstances, it can also be used to kill enemies. As he spoke, Lu Yuan slowly placed the Qingyun sword in his hand in front of him. The surrounding formless green flames instantly seemed to be guided and began to crazily gather on the Qingyun sword in Lu Yuan's hand. Not long after, a long sword emitting a green light appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. The highly compressed formless green flames on the sword emitted an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. The flames of the formless green flame reflected Lu Yuan's calm face. 1. Have cultivated bitterly for so many years and have finally achieved some success in my life. Saving technique. I'm invincible against users of core formation stage and below. Lu Yuan didn't mention that for those above the core formation stage, he was evenly matched with them. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yuan swung his sword. The formless green flames that covered the Qingyun sword transformed into a terrifying green sword qi that swept toward the crimson-red deity at an astonishing speed. Bai Dafei looked at the terrifying formless green flames sword qi with a dull expression, thinking, junior brother Lu, you actually call this a life-saving technique. Chapter 84. 84, Beheading with a Single Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 84. Beheading with a Single Sword. Translator. Nyo-i.bo Studio Editor. Nyo-i.bo Studio. The so-called core formation stage was essentially the fusion of all spiritual roots to form a special golden core. At that stage, whether it was the storage capacity or the quality of spiritual energy, it would far exceed that of a foundation establishment stage cultivator. In addition, core formation stage cultivators had an advantage that foundation establishment stage cultivators did not have. That was the golden core condensed by a core formation stage cultivator, which could stabilize the cultivator's soul very well. With a stable soul and outstanding spiritual energy, cultivators who had a golden core could cultivate some special divine soul methods. Therefore, whether or not one could use divine soul abilities was actually one of the signs that distinguished golden core stage cultivators from foundation establishment stage cultivators. However, this did not apply to pseudo-core cultivators. Even though a pseudo-core cultivator had a golden core, it was different from the golden core of ordinary core formation stage cultivators. The golden core of a pseudo-core stage cultivator was more like a crude product piled up with building blocks. Although the golden core of a pseudo-core stage cultivator had a spiritual energy reserve that far exceeded that of a foundation establishment stage cultivator, it did not have the effect of stabilizing the divine soul, so pseudo-core stage cultivators were unable to use divine soul abilities. Therefore, although there was a huge gap between a pseudo-core stage cultivator and a foundation establishment stage cultivator, the former did not overpower the latter. What's more, there were monstrous foundation establishment stage cultivators such as Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan wasn't boasting earlier about his power. He, who had 5 core formation through the way of the heavens spiritual roots including metal, wood, water, fire, and wind as well with a current cultivation of level 4 of the foundation establishment stage, had almost reached the spiritual energy storage equivalent to level 9 of the foundation establishment stage. If Lu Yuan could complete the core formation through the way of the heavens with the yin, yang, lightning, and earth spiritual roots, he would be able to cultivate a level of spiritual energy comparable to a pseudo-core stage cultivator. This was because the spiritual energy reserves of a foundation establishment stage cultivator depended entirely on the quality of their spiritual roots. A cultivator with multiple spiritual roots was equivalent to several cultivators with a single spiritual root. Once Lu Yuan completed the core formation through the way of the heavens with 9 spiritual roots, he would be equivalent to the combination of 9 core formation through the way of the heavens cultivators with single spiritual roots. This spiritual energy reserve was naturally not something that ordinary people could compare to. And the spiritual power reserve was not Lu Yuan's greatest confidence. The reason why Lu Yuan was so confident that he could be on par with a core formation stage cultivator was actually because of his divine soul pill refinement technique. The essence of the divine soul pill refinement technique was actually to release a portion of Lu Yuan's divine soul. After all, only a divine soul could harm another divine soul. The biggest advantage of core formation stage cultivators compared to foundation establishment stage cultivators was undoubtedly that many of their divine powers could directly attack the soul of foundation establishment stage cultivators. For foundation establishment realm cultivators who didn't have divine soul techniques, this was undoubtedly a blow to their cultivation. However, to Lu Yuan who had the divine soul pill refinement technique, this advantage was equivalent to non-existent. With the help of the divine soul pill refinement technique, Lu Yuan's current divine soul level had already reached the emptiness realm. Most core formation stage cultivators could reach the preliminary stage of that level. With the advantage of the divine soul wiped out, the threat of core formation stage cultivators to Lu Yuan would undoubtedly be greatly reduced. The final difference between him and a core formation stage cultivator was spiritual energy. As for soft power like divine powers, although there was a gap, it was not obvious. All in all, Lu Yuan, who had an emptiness realm divine soul, was indeed difficult to defeat by those of the core formation stage and lower. As for those of the core formation stage and above who had relatively few divine soul techniques, Lu Yuan could indeed be on par with them. It was also because of this confidence that Lu Yuan dared to take the initiative to kill the crimson-red deity. A monster that was forcefully condensed by the sacrifice of 30 blood warrior monks' lives looked terrifying, but it was just a facade. Although the crimson-red deity had a physical body that far exceeded that of a foundation establishment stage cultivator, his techniques weren't as many as that of Muchichi, who was a foundation establishment stage cultivator. Besides, the crimson-red deity was now heavily injured by Muchichi's coiling snake golden light sword, and its cultivation had fallen to level 9 of the foundation establishment stage. Such an opponent posed no threat to Lu Yuan at all. In the palace, Lu Yuan swung his sword. The sword chi condensed from the fusion divine ability, formless green flame, flew in front of the crimson-red deity with a piercing sound. Even at its peak, the crimson-red deity could not keep up with Lu Yuan's speed. Since the deity was also seriously injured, it could not dodge the sword at all. Left with no choice, the crimson-red deity could only raise its remaining left arm to resist the attack. The remaining 20 blood warrior monks began to pour the last of their vitality and blood chi into the body of the crimson.red deity to allow the deity to reach its peak.tier state in a short period of time. In an instant, the crimson.red deity's left arm began to bleed. Countless blood vessels expanded and appeared on the arm of the crimson.red deity, appearing very menacing. Almost right when the crimson.red deity placed its arm in front of itself, Lu Yuan's formless green flame sword chi came crashing. Whoosh! The formless green flame sword chi with astonishing power instantly slashed a deep wound on the crimson.red deity's arm. The wound was so deep that one could even see the bones of the crimson.red deity and the blood vessels and muscles that had been cut off by the sword chi. However, such injuries were not fatal to the crimson.red deity. As the blood chi in the deity's body began to circulate to its arm, the wound on the crimson.red deity's left arm began to recover rapidly. But Lu Yuan naturally wouldn't give it time to recover. Once Lu Yuan made a move, he would definitely kill the enemy. After the crimson.red deity lowered its left arm, it was surprised to find that Lu Yuan had disappeared in front of it. The deity looked at the empty ground and began to anxiously search for Lu Yuan's figure. "Big guy, where are you looking at?" The crimson.red deity suddenly raised its head and realized that Lu Yuan had appeared above its head at some point. At this moment, Lu Yuan had once again completed the charging of the formless green flame sword chi. Lu Yuan held the Qinyan sword, which was emitting a dazzling green light, in his right hand, and made a standard starting stance. Under the crimson.red deity's terrified gaze, Lu Yuan did not choose to use the sword chi to attack this time. Instead, he turned into an afterimage and instantly arrived in front of the crimson.red deity. The two of them were so close that they could even see their reflections in each other's pupils. "Big guy. Goodbye." As soon as Lu Yuan finished speaking, the Qinyan sword in Lu Yuan's hand instantly slashed across the crimson.red deity's neck. Whoosh! The fleshly body that the crimson.red deity was so proud of was useless at this moment. A moment later, the crimson.red deity's head flew high into the air. A large amount of blood spurted out from its broken neck like a fountain. Lu Yuan, who was bathed in the blood rain, did not leave immediately. Instead, he extended his empty left hand. Divine Soul Pill Refinement Technique. Activate. Chapter 85. 85, Secret Passage of the Imperial Study. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 85. Secret Passage of the Imperial Study. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. After Lu Yuan used his Divine Soul Pill Refinement Technique, a large amount of spiritual energy was extracted from the crimson.red deity's body. Although the Blood Warrior Monk's cultivation base had been forcefully raised to the foundation establishment stage, they were still cultivators. However, the quality of their souls was still not something that ordinary foundation establishment cultivators could compare to, not to mention there were so many Blood Warrior monks. Lu Yuan had never encountered such a massive divine soul power before. Moreover, what the Divine Soul Pill Refinement Technique could extract was not as simple as a divine soul. The crimson.red deity's enormous blood chi and vitality were also drawn out by Lu Yuan. A moment later, an illusory soul pill and a blood chi pill appeared in Lu Yuan's hands. Bai Dafei, who was behind them, did not think too much about it. He just thought that Lu Yuan was doing some kind of aftermath work. In fact, what Lu Yuan was doing at the moment was indeed not much different from giving the crimson.red deity the final blow. A moment later, the originally insufferably arrogant crimson.red deity completely disappeared before everyone's eyes. The 30 Blood Warrior monks turned into dried corpses, lying motionless on the ground. Lu Yuan put away the soul pill and blood chi pill, then returned to Bai Dafei and the unconscious Mu Chichi. Without the threat of the crimson.red deity, Bai Dafei was completely relieved. He looked at Lu Yuan who was walking back and asked, "Junior brother Lu, what should we do next?" Lu Yuan looked at the flames outside the palace and said calmly, "The matter of Emperor Qinda is not over yet. If my guess is correct, that fellow must have some trump card that he hasn't used yet. These 30 blood warrior monks are just a method he used to delay us. As for the crimson-red barrier around the imperial capital, it was probably to delay the time for the sect to know about his trump card." Hearing that, Bai Dafei suddenly became nervous. "Then according to what you said, we should hurry over and catch that guy. But what about senior sister Mu? We can't just leave her here alone, right? The pursuit must indeed be carried out as soon as possible." Lu Yuan nodded and said. "We can't leave senior sister Mu alone either. How about this? Senior brother Bai, you stay here and take care of senior sister Mu. I'll go chase after the escaping emperor alone." Hearing that Lu Yuan valiantly volunteered to enter the tiger's den, Bai Dafei felt that Lu Yuan was so unfamiliar today. Was he still the junior brother Lu who could treat confinement as a reward and stay in the sect all day without leaving the mountain easily? He couldn't have been switched, right? First, Lu Yuan took the initiative to take on the mission of killing the crimson-red deity. After that, he was willing to take the initiative to chase after Emperor Qinda, who had some unknown trump card. Such behavior was completely inconsistent with Lu Yuan's usual working style. Just as Bai Dafei was hesitating about whether he should persuade Lu Yuan not to advance so rashly, Lu Yuan spoke first. "Senior brother Bai, before I leave, I would like to ask you to promise me something." "What is it?" "Junior brother, please speak." "Senior brother Bai, I hope that when the sect asks about today's matter in the future, you'll just say that this crimson-red deity died tragically from senior sister Mu's golden light sword and has nothing to do with me. That. Junior brother, are you sure you want to do this?" Bai Dafei was naturally surprised. The main reason was to the Qingyun sect disciples, the credit for killing the crimson-red deity was extremely huge. After all, the crimson-red deity's strength had reached the pseudo-core stage. With the contribution of defeating such an entity, Lu Yuan would not only be heavily nurtured by the sect in the future, but he could even negotiate for treasures from many sections. For example, exchanging for a low-grade magic item. One might wonder, just how much could a low-grade magic item improve a foundation establishment stage cultivator's powers? It could be seen from how Mu Chichi almost killed the pseudo-core stage crimson-red deity in one strike. However, Lu Yuan wanted to give the huge credit to Mu Chichi. Bai Dafei was a little confused. He wondered, since you don't want such credit, then why did you spend so much effort to kill the crimson-red deity just now? Isn't it all for nothing? Lu Yuan had little intention of clarifying Bai Dafei's doubts. "Senior brother Bai, I hope you can agree to my request." Bai Dafei naturally would not refuse Lu Yuan's sincere request. After all, if Lu Yuan was not around, Bai Dafei, a mere pill refiner, would not be a match for the crimson-red deity no matter how one looked at it. Bai Dafei patted his chest and said sincerely, "Junior brother, don't worry. I will keep my mouth shut." "Thank you, senior brother Bai. Time is of the essence, so I'll be leaving first. Please take good care of senior sister Mu." "Don't worry, junior brother. Leave this to me." After giving his instructions, Lu Yuan turned around and chased into the depths of the palace. Although Qinda had left for some time, Lu Yuan was 100% confident that he could find the other party. This was because Lu Yuan's current clone was located under the palace. Relying on his connection with his clone, Lu Yuan could accurately know Qinda's current location. Lu Yuan could even know what was happening underground through the images transmitted by his clone. However, although Lu Yuan said that he was going to chase after Qinda, the place he really went to was the royal study of the palace. As a careful person, Lu Yuan would not foolishly chase after Qinda alone. Even though he was known to be invincible against those of the core formation stage and lower, there was no guarantee that Qinda would not suddenly use a method that could threaten a core formation stage cultivator. Or perhaps, there was a core formation stage demon monk of the Huanxi sect by his side. As stably powerful as he was, how could he really go deep into the tiger's den? The so-called pursuit was just an excuse. His true goal was to search for treasures. Besides, things had developed to the point that did not need his help. What Lu Yuan had to do now was to gain more benefits from the incident. The thing that Lu Yuan had his eyes on was undoubtedly the national fortune that Qinda had accumulated over the years as the emperor. Qinda controlled this part of the country's fate using his imperial jade seal. Lu Yuan, who had the luck talent, destined lucky star, could naturally roughly sense luck-filled locations. Of course, the national fate controlled by the Jade Seal was only a small part of the overall national fate. Great Xia Kingdom's national fate was still majorly influenced by the dragon vein. But even a small portion was a huge amount for Lu Yuan. In any case, the current Qinda was basically unable to turn things around. The luck in the Jade Seal had been lost, so no one would suspect Lu Yuan after this. How could Lu Yuan let go of such an excellent opportunity to obtain luck? Under such circumstances, Lu Yuan quickly arrived at the royal study of the palace. After a simple perception, Lu Yuan quickly found the luck-filled spot. Lu Yuan walked to the bookshelf and discovered that there was actually a narrow secret passage hidden behind it. Without hesitation, Lu Yuan used item manipulation to push away the bookshelf in front of him. The narrow and long secret passage soon appeared in front of Lu Yuan. However, Lu Yuan was not in a hurry to enter. Instead, he released his puppets to scout the area. Although Lu Yuan did not sense any danger from the secret passage, it did not mean there was no danger inside. After the puppets returned safely and confirmed that there was really no danger inside, Lu Yuan decisively walked in. Chapter 86. 86. You core formation stage cultivators are too unstable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 86. You core formation stage cultivators are too unstable. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Following the secret passage of the royal study, Lu Yuan quickly arrived at an empty secret chamber. In the center of the secret chamber, there was a Buddha statue. And in the Buddha's hand was Qinda's imperial jade seal. Ding. Detected luck item, evil Buddha clay statue, ding. Detected luck item, Great Xia Kingdom's imperial jade seal. Lu Yuan looked at the imperial jade seal that was held by the evil Buddha statue and frowned. He could sense that this evil Buddha statue was currently crazily absorbing the luck in the imperial jade seal. This portion of luck would eventually transform into invisible energy fluctuations that spread throughout the entire imperial capital. It was obvious that this evil Buddha was the core of the huge blood-colored array. Seeing this, Lu Yuan could not help but sigh. Although I already knew Qinda is colluding with the Huanxi sect, I didn't expect this guy to be so crazy to even use the luck of the kingdom as a bargaining chip. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan raised the Qingyun sword in his hand and swung it at the evil Buddha statue. Boom! The evil Buddha statue was instantly split apart by the slashing sword energy. Although the Buddha statue was strange, it was only a medium. It did not have any special methods. As the Buddha statue shattered, the imperial jade seal naturally broke free from the evil Buddha's control and fell to the ground. Lu Yuan picked up the imperial jade seal and put it into his storage bag. At the same time, a system notification appeared. Ding! As the host has destroyed an evil Buddha statue, the luck of the Great Xia Kingdom has been changed to a certain extent. The host has received 10,000 luck value, current luck value 16320. Right after Lu Yuan destroyed the evil Buddha statue in the secret chamber of the royal study, the entire palace ground instantly shook. Qinda, who was underground, seemed to have sensed something and roared angrily, Who destroyed my Buddha statue? With the Buddha statue on the ground destroyed, the grand array outside the imperial capital would undoubtedly disappear very soon. At that time, what happened here would undoubtedly spread to the Qingyun sect very quickly. This was definitely not a good thing for Chinda. As for the huge Buddha statue underground, it was specially prepared by Chinda for his reincarnation ceremony. It was completely different from the Buddha statue on the ground. At this point, Chinda had no other way out. He could only complete his reincarnation as soon as possible and then think of a way to escape. Chinda, it seems that you are not fated to be with my Buddha. Chinda turned his head. A Tantra monk wearing a Dharma robe slowly walked out of the shadows. This monk looked very kind, and there was a feeling of an accomplished monk between his brows. However, Chinda knew that this monk was not as kind as he looked. After all, the devil monk of the Huanxi sect was never a kind man. Master Jing Chen, why didn't you help me kill the 3 Qingyun sect disciples on the ground? Chinda looked at the monk and asked. With your cultivation, killing these 3 people is nothing. Jing Chen smiled and shook his head. Emperor Chinda, it's not that this poor monk is unwilling to help you, but that I is unable to help you as much as I would like to. Do you really think that it's easy for me to enter the Great Xia Kingdom? If not for this Buddha statue suppressing my aura, I might have been discovered by the Qingyun sect cultivators long ago. Now that the one-leaf blinding eye on the ground has been destroyed, I think the Qingyun sect will soon discover the situation here. Your Majesty, it's better to plan ahead. I have to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, this poor monk might not be able to leave either. Chinda panicked when he heard that Jing Chen wanted to leave him alone. Wait, Master Jing Chen. I haven't lost yet. As long as my people bring me the goddess here later and let me complete the reincarnation technique, based on Master's cultivation, you can definitely bring me out of the Great Xia Kingdom alive. It won't be too late to leave then. Hearing this, Jing Chen pretended to think for a moment before saying, then, please hurry up and reincarnate, Your Majesty. Your time and mine are very limited. Chinda's face lit up when he saw Jing Chen agree. With Jing Chen around, Chinda felt that he should be able to leave the Great Xia Kingdom alive after his reincarnation. This was because this devil monk, Jing Chen, was not only the devil monk from the Huanxi sect that Chinda had met in the past. His strength had even reached the 3rd transformation of the core formation stage. It was not strange for Jing Chen to appear here. After all, every Buddha child was a very precious asset to the Huanxi sect. How could he be unprepared and simply place the Buddha child in another kingdom? Behind every reincarnated Buddha child, there would definitely be a protector. And this protector was often the favorite disciple of the reincarnated Buddha child. Jing Chen looked at Chinda's happy face and laughed as well. It was just that his fake smile looked very strange. This was because Chinda was only half right. He would indeed bring the Buddha child out alive, but it did not mean that Chinda would still be alive. After all, once Chinda completed the reincarnation technique, he would immediately become the nourishment for the birth of the Buddha child, and his soul would dissipate. It could be said that Chinda's fate had been decided from the very beginning. Regarding his motives, Jing Chen did not plan to explain. After all, if he had told Chinda the truth, Chinda would not have been so crazy about the reincarnation technique. From the beginning to the end, Jing Chen, or rather, the Huanxi sect, only had their eyes on the Buddha child. As for Chinda, he was just an abandoned child that had been toyed with, that's all. After Chinda waited anxiously for a moment, a team of practitioners soon arrived at the underground space. When Chinda saw the gunny sack on the other party's shoulder and the statue of the Jila Buddha child in his hand, his face immediately filled with joy. He thought to himself, soon, my dream of longevity will be realized. On the other hand, unlike Chinda's excitement, Jing Chen seemed to have discovered something. The merciful smile on his face instantly disappeared and was replaced by a serious expression. Chinda, who was immersed in joy, did not notice this. Jing Chen's expression changed because he realized something was wrong. There was nothing wrong with the statue of the Jila Buddha child. It was indeed a Buddha statue made of his master's ashes. However, there was a big problem with the body of the goddess. Jing Chen could not sense any trace of the Jile Buddha child divine soul within the goddess in that sack. Thinking about this, Jing Chen should throw that person out. Upon hearing Jing Chen's words, Lu Ming and the others were stunned. However, Lu Yuan's clone in the sack reacted very quickly and responded first. Boom! A ball of scorching flames suddenly spread out from the sack. The sudden appearance of the flames caught Lu Ming and the others off guard. Apart from Lu Ming, who had a foundation establishment stage cultivation, the rest of the team of 10 people screamed and turned into charred corpses. Lu Yuan stood in the flames and looked at Devil Monk Jing Chen and Chinda with a smile. The core formation stage Devil Monk of the Huanxi sect. There is indeed such a big fish hidden here. Jing Chen looked at Lu Yuan coldly. Fire Cicada 9 transformations, you have good methods. Hearing this, Lu Yuan, who had transformed into Su Wanner, laughed. It's just a small trick. I've made a fool of myself in front of Master. After sensing Lu Yuan's cultivation, Jing Chen said, a foundation establishment stage cultivator, you can't possibly injure me at your current stage, right? Lu Yuan did not answer this question directly. Instead, he turned to a charred corpse lying on the ground behind him and said, Master, Senior Practitioner Chen, stop pretending. It's time to lay out our cards. As Jing Chen and Chinda watched in shock, 2 of the charred corpses on the ground slowly stood up. After a flash of divine lights, 2 core formation stage cultivators appeared in front of Jing Chen. It turned out that among the team of 10 practitioners who had appeared, someone had been switched out. Lu Ming, who was heavily injured and lying on the ground, saw this. When did all of this happen? When Chinda saw one of them, he exclaimed, Patriarch Yuanqing, why are you here? Chen Yuanqing looked at Chinda, whose face was haggard, pale and drained of blood. He said, why am I here? That's what I want to ask you, this unfilial descendant. You are the great Xia's imperial family bloodline and yet you are so foolish as to collude with a monk from the devil way. Do you really think that you will have a good ending if you cooperate with them? Faced with Chen Yuanqing's reprimand, Chinda roared in a distorted manner, then should I just wait for death? Chen Yuanqing shook his head helplessly. Humans were never satisfied. A descendant who did not have the qualifications to cultivate was the same. Chen Yuanqing could not imagine what the consequences would be if a person with the qualifications to cultivate was allowed to sit on the throne. At that time, in order to cultivate, the descendants might do even crazier things than Chinda. Fortunately, although the current situation was serious, it was not to the extent that it was irreversible. Thinking of this, Chen Yuanqing looked at Han Yuanshan. Fellow Han, please don't interfere in this matter. Let me clean up this family mess myself. Han Yuanshan was also happy to be free. He smiled and said, then I'll hold the fort for Fellow Chen. Fellow Chen, please. Lu Yuan, who was at the side, looked like he wanted to say something but hesitated. However, he gave up in the end. When Chen Yuanqing walked towards Chinda and Devil Monk Jing Chen, Lu Yuan's clone spoke to Master Han Yuanshan in a low voice, Master, is Elder Chen really fine alone? That Devil Monk doesn't seem simple. Han Yuanshan said confidently, my disciple, just watch. Elder Chen's strength is not something that ordinary core formation stage cultivators can compare with. Seeing Han Yuanshan so confident, Lu Yuan finally gave up the idea of persuading him. The main reason was that Lu Yuan felt that although they had a huge advantage now, they could not be reckless. Since they already had the conditions to fight in a group, why did they still have to fight one? On point 1. Master, are you really not afraid of losing in the end? Lu Yuan thought to himself. Unstable, you core formation stage cultivators, are too unstable. Chapter 87. 87, If I'm guilty, the heavenly ways will judge me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 87. If I'm guilty, the heavenly ways will judge me. Translator. Nyo iwo Studio Editor. Nyo iwo Studio. He looked at Qin Yuanqing and Han Yuanshan, who had suddenly appeared. How could the devil monk Jing Chen and Emperor Qinda not know that they had fallen into Lu Yuan's trap? Up until today, Qinda had thought that his plan to reincarnate was well hidden and could be said to be perfect. The actual situation was similar to what Qinda had thought. Before Lu Yuan arrived at the imperial capital, his plan was indeed not discovered by anyone. It was even about to succeed. After all, the most important part of the reincarnation technique was its concealment. As long as no one knew the exact location and time of the Buddha child's birth, then, the birth of the Buddha child would be half successful. Unfortunately, all of this changed after Lu Yuan arrived at the imperial capital. Qinda never dreamt that a gentleman who had to support himself out of the drunken cloud brothel would have had the strength to help the daughter of a criminal official. Did they not say that celestial cultivation was about having a pure heart and few desires? What was with this guy who fell in love with everyone he sees? Why didn't you focus on your celestial cultivation? Why did you have to snatch my concubine? Qinda thought angrily. From the day Su Wan'er was taken away by Lu Yuan, Qinda had felt that something was wrong. And the development of the matter after that was indeed the case. Qinda wanted to deceive everyone and play the game of reincarnation. Lu Yuan pulled the rug out from under him and directly took the Buddha child and goddess away. Qinda lured the tiger away from the mountain and wanted to bring the Buddha child and the goddess back. Lu Yuan played along and entered the palace to lure him out. Qinda was desperate. He wanted to go deep into the tiger's den and rob the house. Lu Yuan disregarded martial ethics and deceived everyone by secretly sneaking the core formation stage cultivators into the crowd. It could be said that Lu Yuan perfectly grasped Qinda's every scheme. Even if those demons of the devilish way came, they wouldn't be as scheming as Lu Yuan. This made Qinda furious. I am just a mortal without any cultivation. How can he treat me like a core formation stage old monster? Qinda thought furiously. Is there someone like you? Lu Yuan did not know about Qinda's inner complaints. However, even if he knew, he would not care. As for why he treated a mortal so seriously, it was purely due to Lu Yuan's personality. He had even considered the possibility that he would suddenly be crushed to death by a meteorite falling from the sky in the imperial capital. How could he not consider the matter of Qinda, this insolent emperor, defecting to the enemy? It could only be said that Lu Yuan had always kept this aspect of stability in mind and had never relaxed. Otherwise, if he really thought that he could relax and underestimate the opponents around him just because he came to the novice village, then Qinda might have really succeeded. It could be said that it was all thanks to Lu Yuan's cautiousness that things had developed to this point. Otherwise, it would have definitely caused a huge disaster. As for why Qin Yuanqing and Han Yuanshan, two core formation stage elders, were here, it all had to do with Lu Yuan's language arts. For Lu Yuan, calling two foundation establishment cultivators, Bai Dafei and Mu Chichi, was not very safe. Calling over the core formation stage elder was Lu Yuan's main objective in this plan. And if he wanted to call a core formation stage elder over, he had to give a sufficient reason. This was more particular, and it tested Lu Yuan's language arts. However, in this aspect, Lu Yuan, who was once the key immortal of the land, that was his forte. The core formation stage cultivators were already considered to be at the level of intercontinental missiles for a sect. Simple reasons were definitely not able to activate them. Therefore, the information Lu Yuan sent to the inner sect had to include the core interests that the Qinyan sect cared about the most. And this core benefit was the luck of the Great Xia Kingdom. Lu Yuan's message to the inner sect wrote. He discovered that the Great Xia Kingdom's national luck seems to be decreasing abnormally. Moreover, Emperor Qinda is suspected to be colluding with the devilish way. It is very likely that there are devil cultivators hidden in the imperial capital. As soon as this information was transmitted to the Qinyan sect, it naturally attracted the attention of the Qinyan sect leader, Mu Chen. Furthermore, Mu Chen also adopted Lu Yuan's suggestion and did not let the two core formation stage elders enter the city in a high-profile manner. Instead, he had the two of them sneak in quietly and wait for the right opportunity to arrest the person and evidence on the spot. This was why the two core formation stage elders had disguised themselves as devil-slaying practitioner. At this step, it was the final tier. As Chen Yuanqing walked towards Jing Chen, Lu Yuan also started to observe their interface. Jing Chen, Cultivation. Core Formation Stage Rank 3, Cultivation Technique. Huanqi Jiao Meditation, Luck. 900 out of 1000, Chen Yuanqing, Cultivation. Core Formation Stage Rank 4, Cultivation Technique. Top Level Sky Record, Luck. 1200/1300, on one side was a Huanqi sect devil monk at the third rank of the core formation stage. On the other side was a Qinyan sect elder at the fourth rank of the core formation stage. Looking at the interface, Chen Yuanqing should not have any problems fighting Jing Chen alone. After all, Chen Yuanqing was a stage higher than devil monk Jing Chen. However, Lu Yuan did not think that the outcome of the battle between the two would definitely be the same as what was displayed on the interface. After all, if any battle could be determined by cultivation alone, then there would not be so many people in this world who met with unexpected failures. Thus, to be on the safe side, Lu Yuan quietly took a few steps back. As soon as the situation was not right, he would immediately run away. The death of his clone would not have much of an impact on Lu Yuan's main body. At most, he would lose a portion of his divine soul. However, if there was a need, Lu Yuan did not want his clone to die here. Moreover, this battle between core formation stage cultivators might cause a huge commotion. It was safer to retreat a little. Jing Chen looked at Chen Yuanqing, who was getting closer and closer. He did not show any fear because he was surrounded by his enemies. Instead, he still has the same calm look. I didn't expect that the brat who was chased by Master has now become a core formation stage cultivator. Time really knows no bounds in celestial cultivation. In the blink of an eye, we haven't seen each other for decades, right? Chen Yuanqing replied dully, Jing Chen, even your master couldn't kill me back then. How can a little bald donkey like you be my match? Fellow Chen, you're wrong. Jing Chen smiled. Technique duel is not ranked according to seniority. Although my cultivation isn't as high as yours, it's hard to say who will win. As he spoke, a scarlet energy radiated from Jing Chen's body. Other than that, strange Sanskrit began to appear around Jing Chen. Normal Buddhist Sanskrit should be able to calm one's mind and persuade one to be good. However, Jing Chen's Sanskrit emitted an inexplicable sense of evilness. Not only did it make one's heart heat up, but it could also evoke the deepest desires in one's heart. It was extremely strange. Lu Yuan and Han Yuanshan, who were further away from them, were not affected too much by it. However, Chen De, who was next to Jing Chen, was undoubtedly unlucky. Not only was he just an ordinary person without any cultivation, but Chen De's heart was also filled with all kinds of desires. In an instant, Chen De's eyes became blurred. First, he frantically stripped off his clothes. Then, he hugged a pillar beside him. Looking at such unglamorous sight, Lu Yuan could not help but suck in a breath of cold air, as his teeth turned sour. Oh my God, who could imagine an old man who is over 50 years old exposing his chest in front of you? This was what Lu Yuan saw. Scary, this is too scary. Lu Yuan thought to himself. If I'm guilty, then the heavens will judge me instead of letting me see such an eyesore scene. Chapter 88. 88, The Emperor's Sword of Great Xia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 88. The Emperor's Sword of Great Xia. Translator. Nyo-iwo Studio Editor. Nyo-iwo Studio. Looking at the unrestrained Chinda, not only Lu Yuan felt that his eyes were burning. Even Qin Yuanqing and Han Yuanshan, who were experienced and knowledgeable, felt disgusted. Especially Qin Yuanqing, whose emotions were complicated. After all, no matter what, Chinda was still the emperor of the current generation of the Great Xia's imperial family. To a certain extent, he represented the prestige of the Great Xia's imperial Xia family in the mortal world. And him acting like this in the presence of his fellow disciples. This was a complete disgrace to the Great Xia's imperial family. Thinking of this, Qin Yuanqing immediately shouted angrily, "You rascal, wake up quickly." The scolding that contained the core formation stage cultivation seemed to have enlightened Chinda, and he instantly woke up. Chinda first looked at his naked body, and then at the traces left behind after he crazily attacked the pillar. He felt so ashamed that he wished he could find a hole to hide in. However, there were not many places for him to hide in this underground space. At the same time, Han Yuanshan looked at Lu Yuan, who had created a distance between them, with a strange expression. Facing the master's strange gaze, Lu Yuan's small head was filled with confusion. "Master, why are you looking at me like this?" Han Yuanshan answered, "That's weird. You're only in the building foundation establishment stage, and you a clone here. You shouldn't be able to block Jing Chen's devil voice. Not to mention your situation. I knew a lot about you before I came here. Let's not talk about the few beauties in the sect. After coming to the imperial capital, not only did you stay overnight in a brothel, but you also hid your mistress in the Devil Slayers division. I don't think I'm maligning you by calling you a lecherous devil. And a person like you is not affected by the devilish voice of the evil Buddha. Ugh, what a pity, what a pity. What's there to be regretful about?" Lu Yuan asked. Han Yuanshan looked at Lu Yuan and said regretfully, "It's a pity that I couldn't record your unrestrained image. Otherwise, 100 years later, I would have something to talk about." Lu Yuan was speechless. Good fellow, I'm really a good fellow. He thought to himself. Who said that honest people were not scheming? Master, I, Lu Yuan, had never thought that you were actually such a person. What kind of master would actually want to preserve his disciples' dark history? Is this something an honest person would do? As for you calling me a lecherous devil, a slander, blatant slander. I, Lu Yuan, not only have a carefree style but I'm also known as the best gentleman in the Devil Slayers division. Although you're my master, you can't sprout nonsense like this. The title of the lecherous devil had definitely had nothing to do with me. At most. I just made a mistake that most men would make. However, those were all Lu Yuan's inner dialogue. He did not say these words out loud. Perhaps he also felt that he was a little lacking in confidence to defend himself. Just as Han Yuanshan and Lu Yuan were teasing each other, the core formation stage battle between Qin Yuanqing and Jing Chen had finally begun. In the empty underground space, Jing Chen completely tore off his hypocritical appearance and revealed the true face of the devil monk of the Huanxi sect. Tantra divine ability, Huanxi Arhat body. Jing Chen's body began to expand at a visible rate, and he turned into a 5-meter tall muscular Arhat. Not only that but a low-grade magic item, Huanxi Buddhist staff, appeared in his hand. A 5-meter tall muscular monster was holding a 7-8 meter long Buddhist staff. It was no wonder that the bald donkeys of the Huanxi sect were so unscrupulous. So these guys were a group of muscular bullies who were good at physical transcendence. With this Buddhist staff, it does not matter if you were a demon, a ghost, or a celestial cultivator, you would be smashed to death on the spot. Although Jing Chen's aura was shocking, Qin Yuanqing did not intend to give in. An emperor's sword appeared in Qin Yuanqing's hand. The emperor's sword that was wrapped around the golden dragon illusion had a faint power of the way of the heavens flowing within it. Compared to Jing Chen's Huanxi Buddha staff, Qin Yuanqing's emperor's sword was much better looking and more powerful. This was not Lu Yuan's misconception, but the result he had compared through the system. Huanxi Buddha Staff, Quality. Low-grade magic item, effect. A Buddhist staff that has been baptized by the Huashi Gyal Buddha. It can improve the user's Buddha technique to a certain extent. Great Xia Emperor's Sword, Quality. Mid-grade magic item, effect. The Emperor's Sword forged by the first Emperor of the Great Xia. It is the exclusive weapon of the Great Xia Empire. The power of the magic item will change according to the luck of the Great Xia Empire and can only be used within the Great Xia Kingdom. Chen Yuanqing's Great Xia Emperor's Sword was a rarely seen luck magic item. This was also the first time Lu Yuan had seen a luck magic item with actual power. Previously, Lu Yuan had never thought that a magic treasure could be connected to the luck of an empire. The stronger the empire, the more powerful the Emperor's Sword would be. This was undoubtedly a magic item that could grow indefinitely. However, this magic item had a fatal flaw. It could only be used within the Great Xia Kingdom. Although there is a huge restriction on the Great Xia Emperor's Sword, if used under the right condition, it could be a spiritual item even though it is not. When Jing Chen saw Chen Yuanqing's Emperor's Sword, his expression became even more serious. He clearly felt the immense pressure. Chen Yuanqing, I didn't expect you to bring the Emperor's Sword. It seems that you've prepared for this. Chen Yuanqing held the Emperor's Sword and said indifferently, how dare you come to the Great Xia Empire and cause trouble? Jingchen, I won't let you go so easily today. Ha ha ha, that depends on whether you have the ability to do so. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying battle erupted in the underground space. Chen Yuanqing was like a god of war as he attacked Jing Chen's Huanxi Arhat body. Although Jing Chen's Arhat was powerful, an ordinary magic item could not hurt him at all. But, the Great Xia Emperor's Sword was clearly not an ordinary magic item. Therefore, even though Jing Chen had been threatening him with words, he had been passively defending himself during the battle and looking for a chance to escape. The aftermath of the battle between the two core formation stage cultivators soon caused the entire palace to shake violently. On the ground of the palace. What happened? Envy. By Dafei looked at the violently shaking palace. His chubby face was full of astonishment and confusion. Just as Bai Dafei was worried about Lu Yuan, he suddenly saw a figure flying toward him at high speed. Looking closely, that person was none other than his junior brother Lu Yuan. Junior brother Lu, there's no time to explain. Run. Saying what he needed, Lu Yuan hurriedly carried the unconscious Mu Qiqi on his back. He turned into a shadow and ran out of the palace. Looking as Lu Yuan's back flashed past, Bai Dafei was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly followed on his sword. Junior brother, wait for me, wait for senior brother. Just as Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei flew out of the palace, 1/3 of the palace's ground instantly collapsed. In the next second, 3 figures flew out of the collapsed pit and quickly flew into the distance. Bai Dafei looked at the huge pit in the palace and was extremely glad that he had run fast just now. If they were a step slower, they might be in danger. As for the 3 figures that flew away, Bai Dafei recognized 2 of them. One was his master Han Yuanshan, and the other was his uncle, Chen Yuanqing. The 2 of them seemed to be chasing after a devil cultivator. After the 3 of them had left far away, the internal strife in the entire imperial capital had generally calmed down. Bai Dafei looked at Lu Yuan beside him and could not help but ask, Junior brother, didn't you go after that Emperor Chinda earlier? Where is that insolent emperor? Upon hearing this, Lu Yuan pointed at the collapsed area and said factly, he's buried inside, probably dead. Bai Dafei was speechless. No, did he not say that he was going to pursue the emperor? Why did it turn into killing to silence them? Also, Bai Dafei was confused as to why Master Han Yuanshan and Uncle Chen Yuanqing were there. Didn't Master say that he would only contact me and junior sister Mu? He thought inwardly. So after all this, Senior Sister Mu and I were just a smokescreen. Bai Dafei, who had thought this through, suddenly felt as if he had been deceived by a scumbag. No wonder his junior brother was so brave and fearless. It turned out that there was someone behind it. Take one step, look at 10 steps and think 100 steps ahead. For stability, it still depends on you, my junior brother Lu. Chapter 89. 89, RIP. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 89. RIP. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Great Xia Kingdom, Devil Slayer Division. With the escape of the demonic monk Jing Chen and the death of Emperor Chinda, the entire incident basically came to an end. However, the shocking battle last night was not limited to the palace grounds. The commoners outside the palace were also affected to a certain extent. This was because Chinda's plan was not as simple as the blood warrior monks in the palace. In reality, the entire imperial capital's imperial guards had already been refined into blood corpses by Chinda. And the imperial capital's imperial guards maintained a number of 3,000 people all year round. The blood monk Sariras that Chindu had exchanged for was not only used to refine the blood warrior monks, but the rest was also fused into their water and turned into a potion that could be used to create ordinary blood corpses. The 3,000 imperial capital imperial guards had turned into a 3,000 strong army of bloody corpses. Its purpose was to massacre the hundreds of thousands of people in the imperial capital. Chinda used the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in the imperial capital to provide the vitality needed for his reincarnation technique. And that array that covered the entire imperial capital, blinded by a single leaf, was used just to seal the news from leaking out of the imperial capital. It was also to prevent the ordinary people in the imperial capital from escaping. However, Chengdu would never have dreamed that Lu Yuan had even anticipated this. To ensure that nothing would go wrong, he decisively activated the teleportation array of the Devil Slayers Division's branch and teleported many people over in advance. One had to know that after activating this teleportation array, it would consume a lot of spiritual stones. Just one teleportation had consumed a lot of the Devil Slayers Division's spiritual stones. It was about 300 middle-grade spirit stones. Lu Yuan only received about 10 middle-grade spirit stones a month. However, this level of consumption was not worth mentioning compared to the credit of solving the crisis this time. Lu Yuan was even able to obtain a lot of benefits from different sects based on his contribution to this crisis. Benov calm Lu Yuan was looking forward to what rewards he could obtain from this incident. In Lu Yuan's courtyard in the Devil Slayers Division. Junior brother Lu, so this incident was all because that insolent emperor believed in the bewitchment of the Huanqi sect's demonic monk and thought that he could reincarnate and cultivate again. Lu Yuan nodded. That's about it. Actually, I've already felt something strange ever since I came to the imperial capital. After investigating in secret, we quickly found some clues. To be on the safe side, I did some probing. After confirming that Chinda was colluding with the demonic monk of the Huanqi sect, I took decisive action. Although Lu Yuan spoke very casually, Bai Dafei imagined the entire process as an unusually thrilling battle of wits and courage. Junior brother Lu, your experience in the imperial capital was actually so dangerous, Bai Dafei thought. Lu Yuan looked at Bai Dafei's complicated gaze. After hesitating for a moment, he still did not say anything. Was it unusually dangerous? He asked himself. In the past few years, he had indeed had a few breast risks. For example, in Drunken Cloud Brothel, the battle of wits and courage with the twin courtesans. Another example was the process of training Su Wanner in the Devil Slayers Division. Bai Dafei had never expected Lu Yuan, who had been fighting and scheming against each other for the past 3 years, actually had a comfortable life. Not long after Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei chatted, 2 practitioner figures appeared in Lu Yuan's courtyard. Seeing the 2 of them, Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei hurriedly stood up. Disciple Lu Yuan, Bai Dafei greets Master and Uncle Chen. No need, no need. Han Yuanshan waved his hand. You don't have to be so polite. With that, Han Yuanshan sat on the stone chair in the yard. Chen Yuanqing, who was at the side, took the opportunity to sit opposite Han Yuanshan. As for Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei, they would not dare to sit on such an occasion. Lu Yuan looked at the two of them and asked curiously, Master, didn't you and Uncle Chen go after that demonic monk? Why are you back so soon? Han Yuanshan took a sip of tea and said lightly, Lu Yuan, don't tell me you don't know why we came back. One can understand why Bai Dafei could not think of a reason. But you're a cunning guy. You can definitely guess the reason why I came back. Seeing that Han Yuanshan had said so much, Lu Yuan also expressed his opinion. Master, the sect isn't ready to completely fall out with the devilish way, right? You've seen it clearly. Although we're currently locked in battle with those devil cultivators, both sides have a tacit understanding. We don't have the intention of letting core formation stage cultivators join the battlefield for the time being. But if we'll completely keep that demonic monk here today, we will undoubtedly break this balance. The sect has no intention of starting an all-out war for the time being. But you don't have to worry. The demonic monk source has already been injured by fellow Chen and me. It'll definitely take decades to recover. You don't have to worry about that guy coming after you. Lu Yuan nodded, indicating that he understood. At this moment, Chen Yuanqing, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke, Lu Yuan, hand over what you took from the palace. In response, Lu Yuan's acting skills were off the charts. He said with an innocent look, What? Uncle Chen, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Looking at Lu Yuan's drifting eyes, Chen Yuanqing's mouth twitched. At this moment, Han Yuanshan rolled his eyes and immediately made a decision. Hey, fellow Chen, my disciple came quickly and steadily. He definitely didn't take anything that he shouldn't have. If he did, it must have been an accident. Besides, he's almost a child among us celestial cultivators at this age. What can he know? Don't you think so, Lu Yuan? Seeing Han Yuanshan winking at him, Lu Yuan immediately understood. This was his master helping him. With his master's help, Lu Yuan was even more confident. What a joke, things in Lu Yuan's storage bag cannot be so easily retrieved and given out. Master is right. I just recalled that I didn't take anything that one didn't want. Chen Yuanqing was speechless. Fine. Looks like he was going to bleed a lot today. The master and disciple duo was really pragmatic, unwilling to suffer any loss. Alright. I won't take your things for free. That imperial jade seal isn't just a symbol of the great Xia's imperial family status. It also contains a portion of the imperial family's luck. It is comparable to a mid-grade magic item, however, this thing is not of the imperial family's bloodline, so it can't be used at all. It's useless for outsiders to take it. Lu Yuan, I can use something of the same value to exchange for the imperial jade seal in your storage bag. As soon as he said this, Lu Yuan hurriedly said politely, Oh Uncle Chen, you don't have to do that. I can't. If you really can't do it, then don't rub your hands. Chen Yuanqing thought. Looking at the ashen Chen Yuanqing, Lu Yuan rolled his eyes and said, Since Uncle Chan has already said so, then this disciple will be bold enough to speak. Uncle Chen, may I ask if you have the Mountain River medallion? Pfft. Chen Yuanqing, who was drinking tea, suddenly spat out a mouthful of tea. Cough. What did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. I said. Uncle, do you have a Mountain River medallion? After hearing Lu Yuan's request, Chen Yuanqing said in disbelief, Aren't you serious? How can you be so greedy? Even Han Yuanshan was shocked by Lu Yuan's greediness. This was because the Mountain River medallion was no ordinary item. Chapter 90. Mountain and River Medallion and Mountain and River Array Diagram. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 90. Mountain and River Medallion and Mountain and River Array Diagram. Translator Nyo I.bo Studio Editor. Nyo I.bo Studio. Chen Yuanqing's expression immediately changed when he heard the words Mountain River Medallion. Bai Dafei was immediately interested in this so-called Mountain River Medallion. Bai Dafei came to Han Yuanshan's side and asked in a low voice, "Master, what is this Mountain River Medallion?" Han Yuanshan looked at Bai Dafei as if he was looking at a country bumpkin and said, "The so-called Mountain River Medallion is actually a special array magic item. Its function is also very simple. Within a certain range, it can change the terrain of the rivers and mountains in the area, the distribution of spiritual energy, and so on. However, generally speaking, areas of the mountains and rivers have their own mountain river medallions, and they are all controlled by the sects here. For example, all the mountain river medallions in the boundaries of the Great Xia Kingdom are controlled by our Qinyan sect. Your master has such a mountain river medallion in my hand, and the area it covers is the location of the inner sect Pharmacist Valley." Hearing this, Bai Dafei had a rough understanding of the mountain river medallion. However, after understanding this, he was even more puzzled. This was because although the mountain river medallion sounded like it had great effects, it did not seem to be of much use to Lu Yuan. The biggest use of the mountain river medallion was to maximize the distribution of spiritual energy in the territory and create a paradise. Therefore, most of the cultivators who needed the mountain river medallion were core formation stage cultivators who needed to create their own residences. However, junior brother Lu did not seem to have reached the tier where he needed to open a residence yet. Bai Dafei was not the only one who had doubts. Even Qin Yuanqing and Han Yuanshan did not know why Lu Yuan wanted the mountain river medallion. Lu Yuan was a pill refiner, so what did he need the mountain river medallion for? Could the mountain river medallion be used for pill refinement? Perhaps he saw the doubts in their hearts. Lu Yuan explained, "Uncle Chen, you might not know this, but because I'm not a talented disciple, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to attain the core formation stage in this life. That's why I took another path and wanted to cultivate a few more spiritual roots. On one hand, this can slightly increase my cultivation, and on the other hand, it can also increase my lifespan. I have the intention to study the way of array formation a little and complete the Earth Spiritual Root Foundation establishment stage." "You want to learn the way of array formations?" Qin Yuanqing was a little surprised. "Yes, Uncle Chen. I have that intention." Lu Yuan nodded. Hearing this, Han Yuanshan and Qin Yuanqing almost understood why Lu Yuan wanted the mountain river medallion. If one were to cultivate the way of array formation, the mountain river medallion was indeed a very good magic item. An array master with a mountain river medallion was definitely one of the best among cultivators of the same level. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that the battle would have to take place within the territory controlled by their mountain river medallion. However, while Qin Yuanqing and Han Yuanshan believed Lu Yuan's explanation, Bai Dafei did not believe Lu Yuan's nonsense. If one said that others had no hope of reaching the core formation stage, Bai Dafei would have believed it. However, if Lu Yuan said this, Bai Dafei really did not believe a single word of it. Ask the crimson-red deity that he killed in the palace with a single sword strike. Does he believe that Lu Yuan has no hope of attaining the core formation stage in this lifetime? However, as a person who understood the ways of the world, since Bai Dafei had already promised Lu Yuan that he would not reveal what Lu Yuan had done in the imperial palace, he naturally would not go back on his word. After understanding Lu Yuan's purpose, Qin Yuanqing finally agreed to Lu Yuan's request. However, he did not take out the mountain river medallion at the same grade as the imperial jade seal. Instead, he took out a lower-grade mountain river medallion. But apart from that, Qin Yuanqing also took out another thing. A magic item that was compatible with the mountain river medallion, the mountain river painting. The preciousness of this mountain river painting was not inferior to the mountain river medallion at all. In a sense, the mountain river painting was not a normal magic item, but a special kind of monster. That's right, this so-called painting of mountains and rivers was actually a kind of monster. And a complete mountain river painting was at least at the level of a true magic item. However, the mountain river painting that Qin Yuanqing took out now not only had missing pieces but the celestial being in the painting was also missing. As a result, the quality of the mountain river painting was undoubtedly greatly reduced. However, as long as Lu Yuan could find a painter to complete this painting in the future and nurture a celestial being in the painting, then, the quality of this mountain and river painting could return to the level of a true magic item. Qin Yuanqing used a lower-grade magic item, the mountain river medallion, and an incomplete mountain river painting to exchange for the imperial jade seal in Lu Yuan's hands. Not only was it enough, but Lu Yuan also received more benefits from it. In fact, if it were not for Han Yuanshan and Lu Yuan's discovery of Chenda's abnormality in advance, avoiding the further losses of the great Xia's imperial family, it was impossible for Qin Yuanqing to lose so much by taking out these two magic items. Qin Yuanqing placed the two magic items in front of Lu Yuan. A dollar symbol appeared in Lu Yuan's eyes. How about this? I'll use these two magic items to exchange for your imperial jade seal. Are you willing? I'm willing. Thank you, Uncle Chen. Lu Yuan kept nodding like a chick pecking at grains. As he spoke, Lu Yuan hurriedly accepted the mountain river medallion and the mountain river painting, deeply afraid that Qin Yuanqing would go back on his word. Qin Yuanqing, who had just been undercut by Lu Yuan, naturally had no intention of staying. Because he was afraid that if he stayed too long, even his underpants might be cheated by the unscrupulous master and disciple. Therefore, under Lu Yuan and Han Yuanshan's regretful eyes, Qin Yuanqing left the man-eating courtyard without looking back. After Qin Yuanqing left, Han Yuanshan was about to get up and leave. Lu Yuan, I'm very satisfied with your performance during this period of time. Don't worry, when I return to the sect I will help you ask for credit from the sect leader. When your expedition is over, I will give you a welcome. Han Yuanshan left with Qin Yuanqing. Disciple Lu Yuan/Bai Dafei will send you off, master. Not long after, the entire courtyard was left with Lu Yuan and Bai Dafei, as well as Mu Qiqi, who was temporarily resting in the guest room. After a day of battle, Bai Dafei was also a little tired. Hence, after saying goodbye to Lu Yuan, he went to the guest room in the next courtyard to rest. After Bai Dafei left, Lu Yuan began to size up the mountain river medallion and the mountain river painting that he had just obtained. Now that he had these two magic items, it was about time for him to start cultivating his foundation establishment through the ways of the heavens-earth spiritual route. Actually, Lu Yuan's emphasis on the earth spiritual route was not much less than other spiritual routes. This was because the cultivation technique that came with the earth spiritual route was quite useful to Lu Yuan. Mountain and River Array Diagram, Foundation Establishment Chapter. Cultivating this cultivation technique will grant you the ability to control mountains and water, seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages. Note: if you have a special magic item such as the Mountain River Medallion or the Mountain River Array Diagram, you can obtain a special divine ability after cultivating this cultivation technique, Earth Prison. Divine Ability, Earth Prison. With the Mountain River Array Diagram as the core and the Mountain River Medallion as the support, the enemy can be dragged into the Mountain River Array Diagram for battle. Lu Yuan had initially thought that being able to exchange for a Mountain River Medallion from Qin Yuanqing was already good enough. However, in the end, he even managed to exchange it for a magic item like the Mountain River Array Diagram. Although it was only an incomplete Mountain River Array Diagram, it was enough for Lu Yuan. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan felt that his luck was getting better. It could be said that whatever he wanted came true. As expected, boys who love to smile would have good luck. I love to laugh so much. I deserve to be lucky, he, Lu Yuan laughed to himself. As for a certain luck talent, it was naturally selectively forgotten by a shameless person.